Radhe Radhe everyone. Welcome to our daily wisdom from Bhagavad Gita session. So please do turn on your cameras, at least when you're talking or reciting the shloka. Nitinji, over to you to start the session. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Mtamani ji. Thank you, Padmini ji and Gayatri ji for a wonderful session. Good morning, good evening to all of you. A very warm welcome to today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. We are discussing 2.63, which is shloka related to anger management, and today we will culminate that topic. Today is going to be the concluding session where we are going to put it all together and get into a spiritual perspective on how to deal with this perpetual enemy that is waiting for us to take control of us. And it is like one of those guests which can come uninvited, and it exerts a lot of power over us because it is one of the generals of Maya, so to say. It's Senapati of Maya. So let's get started. Like always, I'll share my screen. We will get started by invoking the blessings of God and Guru. Able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening again, all of you, a very warm welcome. So let's get started. We are on 2.63. We have spent a good amount of time on this shloka, and today we are going to have a concluding session on this particular shloka. Now, for those of you who have been with us on this journey right from the beginning, and for those of you who are new, just wanted to reiterate that we have been doing these shlokas, this Bhagavad Gita shlokas. We started this journey about 2 years back, and we go really slow, one shloka a day, and sometimes one shloka for a week, and sometimes one shloka with cross references across Bhagavad Gita. And with that pace, we are currently at chapter 4. However, for the benefit of everybody, we are doing a recap, and I'm going through the important shlokas from each chapter, so that the foundational concepts, we all have a common understanding around that. We are foundationally understanding the key concepts, and the idea is to keep on revisiting the key concepts so that we are evolving as a group, and foundationally we have a clear and common understanding around those concepts. So that is how we are doing this shloka, and we will spend some time on some more shlokas which are very important in chapter 2, and then same exercise we'll do for chapter 3, and then again we'll resume our journey from chapter 4. That is where we were originally, right? We started this journey 2 years back, so we went up to 4.31, and then we said, all right, let's switch gears back and go back, turn the clock back and start going through some of the key concepts, because it's never enough to go through a particular shloka in Bhagavad Gita. We might think we have gone through it, understood it, but it is a sentient knowledge, because the divine knowledge, it has God's Chitta Shakti in it, and it is never, it has infinite knowledge in it. So we may think we have understood, but no. Every time you will come, you will find newer and newer gems out of it. So it is just like approaching an ocean and trying to draw water out of it. So when your glass is this much, you will draw this much water. When your glass starts increasing, you will start drawing more and more and more. So every every dive you take into Bhagavad Gita, it will bring out newer and newer pearls from it, even though you might have gone through that shloka, hundreds of times. So let's get started. Today we are going to talk about, we are going to look at this from a spiritual perspective, and also we are going to talk about some of the elementary elements of spirituality, ABCD of spirituality as well. So let's get started. I'm going to recite the shloka and then you're welcome to follow along. Krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammohat smriti vibhramaha, smriti bhranshad buddhinasho, buddhinashat pranashyati. Okay. Who do we have the privilege of hearing this from today?
I'd like to give it to Aparna ji. Radhe Radhe. Go ahead, please.
Aparna ji, you're the lucky one
Radhe
today.
Radhe, everyone. Sorry about yesterday. I think I got cut off exactly when I was supposed to recite.
No worries. No
Okay.
worries.
Krodhat bhavati sammohaha, sammohat smriti vibhramaha, smriti bhranshat buddhinasho, buddhinashat pranashyati.
Very nice, Aparna ji. Radhe Radhe.
Uday Kumar ji, go ahead. Radhe Radhe.
Yeah,
Radhe Radhe. Krodhat bhavati sammohah, sammohat smriti vibramah, smriti bhranshat buddhinasho, buddhinashat pranashyati. Radhe Radhe.
Very nice. Thank you, Uday-ji. Radhe Radhe.
Sumesh ji, please go ahead. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Sumesh ji.
भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. राधे राधे.
Very nice. Radhe Radhe.
Sam ji, go ahead, please. Radhe Radhe. Thank you for waiting.
Me? Okay.
Yes.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Krodhat sammohaha, sammohat smriti vibhramaha, smriti bhramshat buddhinasho, buddhinashat pranashyati. Radhe
Very
Radhe.
nice, Samji. Looks like you're having a great start to your day today. Good to see that. Okay. Let's
Meena
take
ji.
the
Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Radhe. Krodhat bhavati sammohaha, sammohat smriti vibhramaha, smriti bhranshat buddhinasho, buddhinashat pranashyati. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Very nice. Thank you, Meena ji.
Dinesh ji.
Radhe Radhe, Dinesh ji.
क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. राधे राधे.
Radhe Radhe. Very nice. Thank you, Dinesh ji.
Manish ji. Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, everyone. क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Okay, last three hands and then we'll freeze it and then get started.
Anita ji. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Anita ji.
Radhe Radhe. Krodhat bhavati sammohaha, sammohat smriti vibhramaha, smriti bhranshat buddhinasho, buddhinashat pranashyati. Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Wonderful. Thank you, Anita ji. Last two hands. Last but one.
Ankur Gupta ji. Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. क्रोध भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृति विभ्रमः स्मृति भ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति.
Thank you, Ankur ji. Very nice. Smriti Vibhrama. All right, last but not the least, Anup Lataji.
Anupji, please go ahead. Radhe Radhe.
Anupji, we are
Radhe
not
Radhe.
able to hear you.
Anupji.
Okay, looks like there's some technical problem there. So let's move on.
Okay.
So, by the way, yes, Anupji, go ahead. You want to give it a second shot? Maybe third time lucky, second time lucky.
Radhe Radhe, Anupji.
Not working out. Okay, Anupji is going to get replaced by Riya ji, last one, and then we get started.
Radhe
Riya ji.
Radhe.
Go ahead. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you. Radhe Radhe. क्रोधाद् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहा स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. राधे राधे.
Very nice. Thank you. So let's get started. By the way, for all the participants, if you look at the odds of about 80 to 90 people reading Bhagavad Gita every day, if you divide it by about 8 billion, 7.5 billion, which is the population, it comes to about 0.0000, at least 7 to 8 zeros, 1, 2, or 1, 3. Okay? That is the odds of somebody reading Bhagavad Gita on a daily basis. So pinch yourself and feel good about it. Okay, that is how auspicious it is, and not everybody gets to do that, and it's only with God's grace it can happen. And by the way, if those zeros, let's say world's population increases, and if those zeros, I think there are about 8 or 9 zeros come, if you look at that proportion. And the closer they get to 14, statistically, mathematically, it is called a miracle. Okay, I was talking to Mohit the other day, he was talking about it is called a miracle. So science says anything whose probability goes up to 14.0 and something, it is a miracle. So we are actually a miracle unfolding right now. So we should feel really good about reading Bhagavad Gita on a daily basis, because we are extremely privileged ones. So on that note, let's get started. Now this shloka, Lord Krishna is saying, anger leads to clouding of judgment, which results in the bewilderment of the memory. When the memory is bewildered, intellect gets destroyed. And when the intellect is destroyed, one is ruined. Right? That is what we have been discussing about. Let's move on. Oh my God, something good is happening here on the screen. Okay. So let's get started on this shloka. So today we are going to talk about anger management. We will put it all together as best as we can, because we've been discussing this shloka for a while. And then we will move on to talk about the ABCD of spirituality as well. And maybe E also, but maybe till D only. Let's see. Okay. So you will see some very mind-blowing transitions today, okay? That is part of the entertainment that has been designed for today. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. Okay. So anger cycle. We've been talking about this. This is an angry person. So it basically leads to bewilderment of memory. When you get upset, see, these principles are formally told by Lord Krishna to us. But if you think deeply about it, you will intuitively agree to it, that it actually happens. You know, when I get angry, my memory goes for a toss. I don't want to think about, or not think about, but you're not able to. That ability is lost temporarily, that memory. And then it destroys our intellect. Good, bad, forget about it. I just want to give my peace of mind or give an earful to somebody else. And then it leads to ruin. Basically, it leads to ruin. And that is the cycle. There are enough examples in this world where one decision that they have taken in the fit of rage has changed their life forever. But that is very drastic. In our day-to-day life also, we keep on doing a lot of damages because of our temperament. And that is why it is called a manas rog. Our scriptures say it is not something that can be taken lightly. It is actually an affliction. It is actually a rogue that needs to be tackled. When we become sick, we go to a doctor. We tell doctor, this is, these are the symptoms that I'm having, and we take the appropriate medicine for it. And this is something we somehow learn to live with it. We accept it as part of our personality. We accept it as something that is part of an emotion. And today we will talk about, if we continue to choose to ride this emotion, what can happen. But our scriptures tell us, no, don't take it lightly. It has disastrous consequences. It is eating away a lot of things within you. So tackle it systematically, tackle it mindfully, tackle it with discrimination by understanding the big picture around it. Let's move on. So this is a quick summary of what we've been discussing. And let's move on to the next one. All right. Now, let's put this argument forth that it is an emotion, like so many emotions we humans have. And it is okay to ride it. It is okay to ride it because we may have our own justifications around it. We have people to deal with. We have somebody stupid around. We have somebody who's always a pain in the neck, and somebody who's always, presses our button, or somebody who's always unreasonable. Any number of reasons we could have. So let's say we choose to ride this emotion. What happens? Let's look at some of those implications. To begin with, it depletes our punyas, erodes the meritorious deeds that we have acquired quickly. Now you may not be able to appreciate that because it's okay. You may think, right, it's happening, but it is more precious than losing something. As you see, if you lose money, something gets depleted from your account. It's a big loss. We make such a big deal about it. If somebody deducts money without your knowledge, how much of a big deal that becomes for us. And in this case, we only are eroding that for ourselves and completely comfortable with it because we don't know the disastrous consequences it is actually causing to our spiritual journey. So next time you become angry, just imagine, somebody is withdrawing something very precious, much more precious than money in my bank, much more precious than the money in the bank. That is how precious it is when we become angry. So you may have acquired a lot of spiritual assets, spiritual resilience over a course of 20, 30, 40 days, years, but in one fit of rage you can erode it completely, and again we have to start from the scratch. And one of the reasons Aji says is if let's say we sit for Roop Dhyan, our focus is not, we are not able to do that for long, or we struggle for that. One of the reasons is the negative chintan that we have done in our past lives. Because of that, it becomes increasingly difficult for us to focus or concentrate on God. Not that it is an impossible thing or very difficult thing, but one of the reasons is that. So the more we are temperamental, the more difficult we are making it for ourselves to, align to spiritual principles or to think about God or to build those sentiments for God. So it's eroding or depleting our punyas if we continue to do that. What is the second one? Downgrading the sanskars. It's like every thought that comes, it leaves an imprint on our mind. We see the stamp, it may be a light imprint, it may be a high one, but every thought leaves an imprint on our mind, permanent imprint. Pratek sankalp is something, thought that came to our mind. Now we may choose to energize that thought, or we may choose to reject it immediately. If we reject it immediately, fine, but if we choose to surf it or energize it, then it is leaving an imprint. If we simply reject it, then that imprint is not very strong. But every thought that comes in our mind is leaving an imprint on our sanskars. That is how it goes. And if we have a temperament, we become temperamental, then it is downgrading our sanskars. Sanskars means something that we will have to live with in our mind. It will not get automatically erased, automatically erased, not going to happen. So it's like handing over the keys, because now you are downgrading your sanskars and even giving the keys to other people for your happiness, right? Like yesterday we were talking about the tomato became justly expensive, so you have given the keys to the tomato people. Or if the tax bracket is in decreased, then we are giving the keys to the government. Or if somebody, only if they are going to say favorable things to me, we are giving away the keys to them. Or if something has to happen in a particular way and that person doesn't do. So basically we are distributing the keys to our happiness to multiple things around us. Spirituality tells us to start taking control over that, as opposed to distributing the keys and hoping for the best. That's not a very smart strategy, because now you are building dependencies on others and you are losing control of your own mind and losing control of your own life. And you are basically dependent on so many things falling in place, which is being very naive. It's like naive, like a kid. When you distributed keys and you are hoping that everybody is going to turn the key in a perfect manner, not going to happen. So it's better to take control over things as opposed to letting go of that control and letting the world and things around you dictate that control for you. There's a beautiful story of Akbar and Birbal, where Akbar was told that, I don't know if they had ophthalmologists those days, but maybe a local vet. And he said, you have some kind of a problem going on in your eyes, because of which over the next few days, you are only supposed to look at something green only. So Akbar said, all right, fair enough. Not a big deal. I'm a king. I can make it happen. So then he comes and gives an order that everything around me, green bed sheet, green curtains, green painting the wall and green things and all, everybody starts wearing green clothes and stuff like that. So he starts painting the world around him green. Now Birbal comes and says, what kind of a strategy is it? Why don't you simply wear green glasses? That will fix the problem for you. He said, yeah, that's true. So it's exactly the same. When we start distributing the keys of our happiness to the world around, it is not sustainable. Somebody will come up with a key that will turn the wrong way. Then what will happen? You'll become upset, you'll become angry. So it's better to start taking control of those keys rather than distributing it. And the last one is the road to God realization further away. When we become angry, that moment you cannot think about God. So you have already dirtied your drawing room where you were supposed to welcome God. So it's like you're trying to welcome a dignitary in your house and you're keeping it dirty. So in order to welcome God, our heart has to be pure. Antakaran Shuddhi is the only agenda of life. And instead of doing Shuddhi, you have dirtied it further. That means you have gotten further away from the goal of God realization. That means you have dug a pit for yourself that you'll have to climb over anyways. So you have basically increased your homework for the rest of the life or the rest of the lifetimes. So that many negative flip sides of becoming angry and choosing to ride this emotion. Now that doesn't mean you become a doormat. What it means is your inner self has to be sorted out. Outer self you can put on a face. We do that with kids all the times. We are loud with them. Hey, you're not supposed to do that and this and that. But inwardly, we are okay with that, right? We know that is a kid. But in order to drive home a point, we put on a face. We put on an act. And spirituality says you have to do that because it is an inner game. When from your inside you are sorted out, that's what you get credit for. So from inside, we need to get sorted out and use anger as a tool for things which could be detrimental to your spiritual journey, to align that. But even in some cases, you have to drive home a point, right? As a teacher, as a doctor, as a parent, you have to bring that tool. If you're being, very lovey-dovey all the times, then people will not listen. So you may choose to use it as a tool with a proper perspective as opposed to dirtying your inner self. That is also doable. And that is what spirituality is telling us to do. But when you start having bitterness, resentment, vengeance, hatred, those things are eroding your meritorious deeds and you are creating more homework for yourself, for your next lifetimes as well. So if you start hating things, hating people, especially when we get into religious conflicts, that bitterment, resentment is something will not take us very far. Why? Because we are not entitled to, first of all, becoming a human. Second, getting born in a particular country. Third, having a particular religion bestowed to us. And more importantly, a particular, kind of a society that will be part of. So it is a very, what do you call that, optimistic expectation that it will be like this forever for all the lifetimes for us. Not necessarily. It could change. So God, for him to teach us lessons, he can do anything. So the purpose of life is to cleanse ourselves and uplift our soul, as opposed to getting hung up in agendas, worldly agendas, and dirtying our mind around it. That doesn't take us very far. The things that we do as a matter of duty for the pleasure of God is truly Karam Yoga. Rest all is binding karma, nothing else. Let's move on. Okay, so then let's look at it, this graph now. Humans and less human, and then intellect and negative intellect. So if you were to plot it graphically, let's give it a shot. So as humans, we are expected to utilize our intellect. This power is given to humans only by God. What it means is that other yonis or other species, they are scripted, they are following a particular script. What it means is, if a lion is ferocious and they are scripted to take care of their hunger and their instincts. Animals are instinctive. So if a lion doesn't get food and all it sees is a human in front of it, it will eat the human. It will do that. It has to satiate its hunger. Now, because an animal ate a human, will it get logged as a sin in the book of God? It will not. On the contrary, you have a human and it's not feeling hungry, but feeling in a rajasic or a tamasic mode, wants to experiment and taste something good, and it sees a tiger and eats a tiger. You think that will be by the way, there was in Phoenix, I was seeing there was a restaurant that was opened up called the Tiger Burger. They were serving that. And then I think some activists and all, they caught hold of them and said, this species is actually getting extinct and you are enjoying it for your tongue. But when you do that, if a human kills an animal, that is considered as a sin. If an animal considers a human, it is not considered as a sin. Okay? Because they are scripted. They are scripted to take care of their senses and their instincts. Similarly, if you look at plants, have you seen an orange plant smiling back at you and saying, hey, by the way, today I produced an lemon just to have fun with you? It will not. It has to produce orange only. Or a mango plant, will it say, now today I'm going to produce apples for you and have a bit of a laughter about it? Of course not. It has to produce mangoes only, because that is how it has been scripted. So they follow the particular script. By the way, there were two guys, two friends. They went up a mango tree, and one friend asked the other, you want to eat apples? He said, but how are we going to eat apples? We are on a mango tree. He said, you know what? I've brought those. Those kind of things can happen. But when you look at the plants as such, they also follow their script. They're not going to change that script. But humans, they are not scripted. We have been endowed with free will and intellect. And to whom much is given, more is expected. And with power comes great responsibility. It's a dialogue from Spider-Man, by the way. I love that part. So to whom much is given, more is expected. Now, to whom much is given is us. And if all we do in our life is just eat, sleep, mate, and defend, then we are no different from animals. All that we have done is led a deluxe animal life. Now let's look at this. Humans, they have, this is the quadrant where humans, they should have more intellectual prowess or power. They should be exerting. Now when you do that, less intellect. And then the third one is less of human than intellect, third quadrant where the animals are. And the fourth one is intellect positive, and the animalistic instincts are there. Some people may say chimpanzees at all, they are closer to that, right? They have a bit of an intelligence. But the point is, when you are become angry, you directly fall from quadrant 1 to quadrant 3, that of an animal, immediately. Because your intellect, if you go back to the shloka, your intellect, your memory gets bewildered and your intellect gets clouded. So when your intellect gets clouded, you are ruined. It means there is absolutely no difference between you and an animal at that point. That is what anger does to us, just to drive home the point. Hope it makes sense. Let's move on. Okay. There's a lot of drama happening on the slides today. All right. So let's now get into some of the theory around it. We have not spoken about it. Express. Now, when we express anger, today we are going to get into some of the spiritual tools. We'll look at it in the spiritual perspective. Yesterday we spoke about the concepts which were symptomatic. Today we'll get into some of the more lasting. Adding fuel to other. When we express anger, we are adding fuel to others' anger. Has anybody stopped just because you became more angry? No, you are adding fuel to the others. It's going to just make it worse with the other person. Competition begins. Who can become louder and who can scream more and who can become more historical, digging out the older things around it. And interesting, beating up, divorce, a lot of things can happen. Now, the key thing is one can be assertive and yet gentle at the same time. That is the skill we need to acquire, especially if we want to express our anger. The other aspect of it is suppress. Now, the suppression aspect is something which is not sustainable. By the way, we do suppress it a lot of times in office and other places because anger flows top down always. It hardly flows bottom up. In case of Shyamji, it does, but normally it doesn't happen. So the third thing we spoke about, the process part of it, which is, now let's look at it. The way to actually handle anger, the best way to handle. It says that you stay silent or go away. Now you're processing it. Okay. Then you read yourself, do some introspection. Discrimination, accepting own faults. We just forget about our own faults around this whole thing. And then the big picture around it, that, you know what, everybody is driven by self-interest in this world. Every relationship. That is also kind of a news, but that is how it is. Every relationship is driven by self-interest in this world, no matter what that relationship is. The closest to selfless love the relationship comes is a mother-child relationship. That is also not completely selfless. Yeah, that is what our scriptures, it comes closest to that, but it's not completely selfless. So for as long as that delicate balance is maintained, relationships are sustained. When that balance starts tilting, one is only giving, then the problems start happening. So when we look at the big picture aspect of it, we say that, you know what, somebody's self-interest I have harmed, and after a while that person will be normal. But we need to reason it out. It takes time to do that. And we are all selfish. And if something happens, you let it, don't add fuel to the fire is what is a good strategy. Rather than giving it more fuel, you just hold it back. And that is the dopamine kick we have to get release of at that point. Because it can become a full-blown fire. Otherwise, the spark neglected burns the house. So I was talking about that concept when the ladies in villages, they are cooking from the chulha, when their cloth, it catches fire, they immediately put it off. And same thing we have to employ with anger as well. Not let it flare up because it can burn it down otherwise. All right, so let's go. We'll talk about a quick framework as well. It's important to look at it a little more in detail. Let's get into a framework which we are supposed to do tomorrow, but we'll pick it up. Now, let's say we are in a situation. First step is it a very important relationship that you are dealing with? That's the first thing. That means it is a battle worth pursuing. If it is not an important relationship that you are dealing with, why to even bother to engage and waste your energy? Okay, that is the first filter. We do that because we enjoy ego battles to prove a point. First of all, do we really need to pick up that battle is the first filter we need to apply. But let's say it's an important relationship you are dealing with at home or at office or somebody near and dear one. Now the fun begins. Now let's look at what are the possibilities and let's build on this framework. Can we do something about it in that particular situation? And if the answer is yes, then we have all the three options: express, suppress, or process. If you can do something about it, if you think by expressing it, the problem will get solved, go for it. If you think by suppressing it, problem will get solved, go for it. And if you think by processing it, there are different tools, go for it. Because you know firmly that this relationship is important and I have control around doing something about it to correct this situation, then go for it. What is stopping us? Nothing, right? Now, let's say we cannot do anything about it. There are relationships you are stuck and you don't have control over it. You just have to deal with it. Then the next question is, can we draw healthy boundaries at least? Now, these healthy boundaries are very important. Swamiji also explained in one of his SMX that it is very important to have healthy boundaries in every relationship. Even our body, our stomach, and our organs, they maintain a boundary with each other. Because if they don't maintain a boundary, our body cannot operate. If our stomach does not have outer lining and boundary, it will dissolve our organs. Similarly, at home, there are certain boundaries we set, even with our kids, right? We will take you to this if you put your laundry properly and things like that. Because when we don't have any healthy boundaries in relationships, it is again a ticking time bomb. In every relationship, the tone that you set, be very careful about it because you'll have to maintain it down the line. So healthy boundary is very important. So can we draw healthy boundary in that case if we are dealing with a relationship is the next question, because you cannot do something about it. Now, again, there are two possibilities. If you can define healthy boundary, then it's an ongoing expectation management exercise. After a while, the boundaries start shrinking, right? Somebody starts taking other for granted, and those boundaries can slip over time. So it's an ongoing expectation management at that point that you'll have to get into. You might have defined the boundaries, but one incident, second incident, something may start shaking those boundaries. So it's very important to know those boundaries are maintained to maintain that relationship in a good spirit. When those boundaries will start collapsing, again, that problem will happen. But there's another possibility. You cannot draw even healthy boundaries there. You are powerless, right? Sometimes we get stuck in relationships. People have to, they get stuck in relationships. There are so many people, they do get. What do we do then in that case? Then the third filter, is it within our endurance limits? We all have some level of endurance and resilience baked in us. So then the third is it within our endurance limits? If it is, then ongoing endurance management, how much you can endure. That too also you have a limit, right? Or maybe you are okay with that because there is a trade-off for everything. If you challenge that relationship, are you willing to lose what you stand to lose is far more precious than challenging that relationship? So there is a trade-off, price tag around that as well. And that will determine whether it is within your endurance or not. And if it is not within your endurance limits, then again you have to increase your endurance. Maybe that is the lesson, you are stuck in that, or you quit. That option is there as well. But there is no guarantee the similar situation will not repeat with you, especially if it was meant to be like a lesson. So all these things, I mean, it's a very high level framework. You can build on it or let me know if you think some other possibilities around it are available to us when it comes to dealing with a relationship. It all starts with how important it is for you. We end up picking battles which are not even important for us, right? If an elephant, when it walks, every dog that comes its way, if it starts picking up a fight with it, then it will wear it down, right? Or if an eagle is soaring and every crow that comes its way, it starts fighting with it, it's pointless. So first of all, we need to be clear, is it even a battle worth picking up or not? So many times we pick up battles which are not even worth picking up. But if it is something it is worth picking up, then we have all these options, starting with if we can do something about it, can we draw healthy boundaries, and is it within our endurance limits? All things are there and it becomes contextual at that point. And within that, let's look at some of the things. Symptomatic cures, introducing a gap, postponing anger, deep breathing, pranayam, reverse counting to 20, puffing cheeks with water, alternate activities, take a long walk, listening to music. All these things can be employed as a symptomatic relief. All of it is basically tackling with it mindfully rather than reacting, responding, where you are introducing some kind of a gap, not simply engaging in that exchange, volatile exchange with the other person. Postponing anger, deep breathing pranayam helps. Counting, it's another way of introducing a gap. Puffing cheeks with water, try that out. I think it's kind of an interesting one as well. And you can go out for a long walk and stuff like that. These are symptomatic cures. Now let's look at permanent cures, addressing the root. Stop, stay silent, or go away. You know it's not going to help the cause. Working on self, accepting own faults, understanding we are driven by self-interest, ongoing investment in building spiritual assets. This is a very important one, which means meditation, root dhyan, mindful diet, yoga, etc. That is actually something that truly helps. You're actually cleansing your system and actually tackling it at the root itself. So it's just like this. If you have done extensive practice of root dhyan, thinking about God, engaging in that, these things, these material afflictions, they will start diminishing all by itself. It's just like if you go on a hilltop, can you grow mango on top of a hilltop? You cannot. Why? Because the weather is not conducive for growing mangoes there. Similarly, when we start uplifting ourselves spiritually and start bringing God into the mix, in our meditation and other activities, in our tasks, then the intensity of all these anarthas are anger, lust, greed, it starts diminishing automatically. You don't even have to do anything. It's just like popping in a pill and it starts doing its job all by itself. I was talking about this example yesterday that if somebody steals, the penalty for that is 3 years jail, let's say. But when they complete the jail term, do you think they have actually reformed? The evil in their heart is removed. The tendency to steal is removed. No, it is not. Those seeds can only be burnt away when they start engaging in something which is as auspicious as bringing God into their heart, into their emotions, into their life. Because the only thing which is pure in this world is God and a God-realized saint. Rest all is tainted with the guna of Maya. So that is the only technology available to mankind to actually cleanse the heart from within. No amount of self-help books, no amount of any austere practice, no amount of japa, tapa without remembrance of God, no amount of kundalini jagaran, no amount of fasting without really doing it or bringing God into the mix is going to remove the dirt in human heart. Bhakti, devotion, bringing God into the mix and tying your emotions to God is the only way. That's what our scriptures are telling us. And that is what essentially devotion or bhakti is. Okay, so that is, if you look at it, this concept is actually like a, okay, now we have interesting something. Another aspect of spiritual understanding is, do we become angry at a postman when he delivers a bad news to us? Do you fight with the postman? I'm going to beat the heck out of you because you brought a bad news to me. We don't. Similarly, people around us, they are simply delivering our package to us. You might have troubled them in the past, and it's God's ways of actually make us learn our lessons. So it's a karmic debt we are settling with each other, nothing else. So if you are stuck with a relationship where you pick up a lot of fights, you are simply engaging in karmic debts there. And the other person is just a nimit or an instrument to deliver the package that truly belongs to you. This is a spiritual perspective around facing people who are not favorable to you or getting stuck in relationships where you have that thing. That is another way of looking at it. My karma kind of a deal. And Jiva Goswami, who was Gauranga Mahaprabhu's disciple, he said, all these people in the world are nice. They are good people in this world, forced to behave badly because of my own karma. Now, this is a very high level perspective. We are not there yet. But saints understand this big picture around it, because each snowflake falls in its perfect place. Similarly, everybody is perfectly situated where they need to be. And anything and everything that is happening for a reason. What is the lesson is the key to spirituality, to learn amidst all of that. Yes, you have to stand up. Don't become a doormat, or people will be unreasonable. It doesn't say you keep on tolerating everything. You still have to do your duty, but with the right perspective. But this is another perspective. If something starts repeating with you in life, that means that is the lesson for you. Sure shot guarantee. That is the lesson for you. It's just like somebody is in standard 1 and they are not able to pass that exam. What happens in the material world? They are made to repeat that. Similarly, if a situation is repeating in our life from different angles, that is the lesson for us. Okay, I see a question, a hand raised already. Let's take that. And like I said, okay, before I get into ABCD, is there a question?
Go ahead, Monica.
Yes. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe,
So with spouses especially, I mean, that's what I have a very good spouse, and
You
I'm
can
rather have a space,
conquer the entire world, but people are not able to conquer their spouses. Okay, that's the first thing. Please go ahead.
Yes. Okay. One question answered. Second question. Second was, so people taking the path of divorcing each other, is that the right way, or you continue to deal with it because it's your karma, or how do we take that, Nitinji?
I don't know. See, the spirituality is all about harnessing your internal power and harnessing your intuition around it. Because the more you start aligning to God's will, the more your intuition will start guiding you to what is right and what is wrong. Right? Now, if you are divorcing and you keep on marrying different people, that means there might be a lesson in that. In a lot of traditions, that is perfectly okay. People, they have like, I had a lot of friends, they will say, this is my brother, this is my biological mother, this is my non-biological mother, this is my half sister. So there might be a lesson there. If you're simply moving away, shying away from something, and you're not willing to exert or invest on something, that might be a lesson for you. But at the same time, if you're stuck in domestic violence and stuff like that, your intuition might be guiding you. That is something you need to get out of it for your own benefit and for the benefit of the other person as well. So it is very contextual. You cannot say this is right or this is wrong. Your intuition, and the more you start aligning to, God and Guru, that will guide you what is the right thing to do in a particular situation. So we cannot say this is right or this is wrong. It is very contextual in that sense. And it is a personal journey in that sense. We need to harness that by aligning to God's will as best as possible. And we will kind of get a sense of, what we are trying to do is right or not. If you're simply catering to our senses, you're not willing to invest in anything and keep on changing partners, people's thing, then that might be the lesson for us. That's not a sustainable game plan, right? Anyways. But if you're stuck in something that is not uplifting for our spiritual journey, and it is promoting bad behavior on other part, that might be a way to get out at best for the both, right? Very contextual in that sense.
Right. Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, now I was talking about, maybe I'll get to it later. This is the Swiss Army knife. Attaching to mind to God. It is watering the root. When you water the root, you don't have to invest on watering leaves, twigs, fruit independently. Attaching your mind to God is watering the root. Everything else will get nourished. All the good qualities that are needed for you will get nourished all by itself. So it is a silver bullet. It is a Swiss Army knife, so to say. One thing is, okay, I'm going to work on honesty, then I'm going to work on anger management, now I'm going to work on forgiveness, now I'll work on humbleness, this, that. You can do that. It's like watering a root. But if you simply start engaging your mind in devotion and Rupa Dhyan, remembrance of God, and bringing God into your life, all these things will be taken care of. So this is the key thing to understand on the path of devotion. Now, what are the practices you can employ? Let's look at that. A, B, C, D. Okay, A is associate with good people who bring the best in you. This is called satsang. Avoid kusang, associate with good people. That is the A. B is the book reading. read scriptures and invest in good knowledge that we are doing, like in Bhagavad Gita sessions we are doing, right? This is the book reading. The C is chanting God's names with remembrance. That is the key, right? With remembrance is the key. With loving remembrance of God is the C of spirituality. Try to fill the spaces in your day with God's name. See what happens. When you say water, 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 it will not quench your thirst. It is material name. You say Dinesh, Dinesh, okay, Dinesh is here, not no offense meant. You say Nitin, Nitin, nothing will happen. You say Ram, 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 Krishna, 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 you will start feeling a bliss. That is the power in God's name, because God has put all of his powers in his name. And the day you start becoming purified, that day you will not be able to complete God's name. You will get into a stabdhavastha. That is the power in God's name. Just by saying Mara, 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 Valmiki became God realized. So you can imagine the power in God's name with loving remembrance if we do, which is the chanting aspect. Okay, but the key is remembrance, not a mechanical drill. Remembrance, loving remembrance is the key. And D is the diet aspect of it. It is very important, because if we don't take care of the diet, jaisa an vaisa man, it has a lot of bearing on our spirituality. Jaisa pani, vaisi vani, jaisa an vaisa man. And Bhagavad Gita shlokas, I have picked up a few. 17th chapter talks about what kind of food we should have. Anyways, it talks about it. 17:10, 17:8, 17:9, you can go about that, which talks about what implications or what effect food has on our spiritual journey. Okay. So this is ABCD. Now, if you were to add E also, E is an etiquette now. Okay. When we get into temple, there is an etiquette. We don't wear shorts. We don't wear slippers inside, hopefully. So that is just out of respect for God. So if you want to bring in etiquette, that's fine. But in Raganuga Bhakti, etiquettes take a back seat, especially if it is driven by pure love. God says, no formality with me. I'm fine as long as you are carrying love in your heart. Okay, with that, I think I have overspoken for the day. So I'll take a quick break for the announcements, and then we can take some questions around what we have discussed today.
Thank you, Nitinji.
Yes.
Yes, for the announcements, the feedback tracker has been posted. I will post it again. So please do post in your questions, comments, and feedbacks. And this Sunday, we have Swamiji's book launch from the temple. That's going to be really awesome. And all of us are super duper excited for that. So please do join in person or online. It is the same bridge. It's on Sunday, 10:30 a.m. India time. It is Sunday, 10 p.m. And Swamiji's India tour link has also been posted. So please do take a look at that. And if you want to give your comments or anything in the community portal, that link has also been sent. That's it, Nitinji, for the announcements.
Yeah, thank you. And also, if you are feeling inspired, please do share it with your friends and family as well. You know, you can, whatever good stuff that you are learning, the good posts that so many in our portal they are generating, share it with them. You can bring them to the session and share the good knowledge with them. It's a good way to earn some spiritual merit as well, you know, when we share this knowledge and help somebody along the path as well. By the way, tomorrow we don't have a session. Just wanted to let everybody know. Tomorrow I'll be traveling. So I'll be meeting you on Monday, which is Tuesday time. So tomorrow's session will not be on. Just wanted to let you know. I'll send out a reminder around that as well. Just so that all of you are aware of it. So, okay, now let's get into any question that you may have around what we have. I know there's a lot of stuff we discussed today. So any questions, happy to take those.
Go ahead, Sanjay.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Nitinji, you are saying that anger depletes punya, right? Is it only after expressing anger that it depletes? And what about the person, the punya of the person who incites anger?
One who incites anger is the postman who's delivering your package to you. So you should actually be thankful to the person who is inciting anger, because if you can tolerate it, you can progress really fast. Now, the person who's inciting it, I don't know, that's his karma, but much better than actually becoming angry. So you have to take responsibility for your emotions. Swamiji says, our emotions are our own responsibility. We cannot blame it on others. It's because of you I'm getting angry. It's because you did so, that is why I'm upset. So that's not a spiritual perspective or a mature perspective on looking at things. We have to take responsibility for our actions. And happiness is a choice. Thinking positive is a choice that we make. So we can tune into positive things or we can tune into negative channel P or channel N. We always have a choice around it. Now, if you're blaming somebody for your anger, you need to get out of that, Samji. Yeah, that's not good.
Okay,
Or you get that person on this session, we will take him to task on your behalf, okay? So that you don't have to worry about that part.
Okay. And what about, I mean, if I want to get back all the punya that I lost, then what should I do? Like now, if I look back, it's
So when you
always
lose
showing anger. That means I don't have any punya left, I think.
So what happens? You had 2,000 rupees and you frittered it away. So how do you get 2,000 rupees back? You earn it again. It's as simple as that.
How to earn?
But the good thing is, you know the skills. You have at least learned the skills on how to earn it back, right? Or you can't steal it, okay? So you still have to earn it. But the good news is that you know the skills and you know the path how to earn it back quickly. And you can keep on adding more zeros to it, not just 1,000. But don't lose it again. Don't lose it again. And to make it simple, I said, bring that person here. Ask him to turn on the camera. We all will vent it out on your behalf, and your dopamine kick will be taken care of. Okay, if that helps. That's the best we can do for you.
Okay. How to earn back punya, Nitinji?
How to earn back? Samji, for that, I'm going to charge $10 per minute now from this point onwards. Okay? This is a very precious thing what you ask. So see what you are doing here. This is
I make that person paid on behalf of me.
See, Lord Krishna said that when you read Bhagavad Gita, it is called an intellectual sacrifice, Gyan Yagya. So this activity that you are doing, if you do it for 7 days for 1 hour each, and if you sing 3 bhajans, you would have earned all that you lost. Okay, so just do it for another week, you'll be fine.
Oh God, thank you.
But 2 bhajans are needed in between.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Samji.
We've got a formula now. Okay, yes. Arti ji, I need to hear from Arti ji. What happened, Arti ji? Did the yesterday conversation help you at all, that Jasti stuff that you spoke about? Or let's hear from Arti ji. I enjoyed the conversation we had yesterday.
Go ahead, Arti ji. You've been
And you need to speak in Bombaya only, okay? In Hindi, not in English, please.
Then translate it later. Radhe Radhe, Arti ji. Hari Om. Go ahead, please.
Hari Om.
Radhe Radhe Nitin ji. Hari Om.
You have to be a little louder.
मेरे को तो आपने ना पूरे जैसे वो वागले की दुनिया है ना, पूरा मेरे को 90s में भेज दिया एकदम। मैं जैसे वो मेरा आर.के. नारायण जी के वो कॉमन मैन थे ना, कैसे और सही कहा आपने, बिल्कुल नाइव, और पूरा जैसे ना वर्ल्डली लाइफ में ही में रहती है एकदम, मतलब ना इधर ना उधर, नाइव, नॉवेल, क्या बोलते हैं, एमेच्योर, मैं सब मानने को तैयार है। लेकिन एक ही मुझे जानना है, हम लोग गृहस्थी वाले हैं, हम में से तो गुस्सा जाने नहीं वाला, देखिए, ठीक है, लेकिन कहाँ करना चाहिए, मैं यहाँ अटकी हूँ अभी। ये बात आपकी एकदम सही है कि हर जगह तो हम गुस्सा करके टाइम पास नहीं कर सकते ना, इतना क्या लाइफ में इतना टाइम है ही नहीं अपने पास, चलो तो वो छोड़ दिया। लेकिन कहाँ करें ताकि लोग अपने को ना ऐसा फॉर ग्रांटेड ना ले लें, एडवांटेज ना लें, ऐसा कि चलो यार ये तो बहुत मस्का है, इसको लगा दो, चलो चलता है, वो ऐसा नहीं है। तो कहाँ गुस्सा करना चाहिए? और आपने अभी भी ना पैसे के मामले में कुछ नहीं बोला, क्योंकि देखिए वही दिमाग है ना, आप जैसे आप बोले ना, गुस्से से आपका पैसा जाता है, मेरा ऐसे जैसे बल्ब जल गया, हाय पैसा, मेरा पैसा पैसा पैसा। तो
आप कहाँ थे आरती जी? इतने दिनों तक आप कहाँ थे? अब हमें इतने सारे अच्छे नगेट्स दे रहे हैं आप इस सेशन में, बट आप इतने दिनों बाद बोले। मैं तो कह रहा हूँ आपको हर दूसरे तीसरे दिन बोलना चाहिए। तो हाँ, बोलिए, कंप्लीट कीजिए, देन आई थिंक आई विल टॉक अबाउट दिस कॉन्सेप्ट।
देखिए, मैं जानती हूँ 90 में से कुछ तो लोग होंगे जिनके लिए कभी कभी पैसा भी ऐसे वो स्विच बटन की तरह ऐसा ऑन ऑफ करता ही होगा। तो हम करें क्या? जैसे ही पैसा आता है, जैसे दिमाग में कोई स्विच ही अलग हो जाता है, उसका क्या किया जाए? और किस जगह गुस्सा करना चाहिए, किस जगह नहीं करना चाहिए। आपने कैसे कहा लोग कुछ, अभी आपने कहा सत्संग में भी, आपको सत्संग में भी कोई उल्लू के पट्टे नहीं मिलते क्या? ये जैन यार कहाँ गए, फंस गए यार, सत्संग करने आए थे और ये तो एज यूजुअल। और वो लोग जो गॉसिप भी करने आते हैं, आप क्या करते हो, आप क्यों करते हो, आप कैसे करते हो टाइप्स, आपको नहीं मिलते? मतलब पूरा देर खुदेरते ही रहते हैं यार, सत्संग करने आए हो, भजन करने आए हो, नाम स्मरण करो, ये
हाँ
लाइफ
हाँ,
का अपनी
समझ
पूछते
गया,
रहते हैं।
समझ गया
जी जी।
आपके प्रश्न। तो
तो ये दो तीन, और एक बहुत ही
बस एक
पर्सनल
एक
रिक्वेस्ट, ये
हाँ,
सिर्फ तीनों आज जो ये हफ्ते में हुए हैं, जितना जल्दी हो सके अपलोड कीजिए ना प्लीज। मैं एक बार फिर सुनना चाहती हूँ, क्योंकि सच में कुछ कुछ नगेट्स है ना, मुझे इतना सही लगा ना कि मतलब वो मुंह में पानी भर के रखना है। मैंने ट्राई किया, ऑनेस्टली बोलती, 2 बार ट्राई किया, एंड आई लिटरली फील जैसे थोड़ा है ना काम डाउननेस फील हुआ मुझे। तो
वेरी
मैं
नाइस।
चाहती हूँ प्लीज आप ये जल्दी जितना अपलोड हो सके ना ये हफ्ते का,
जल्दी,
प्लीज अपलोड कीजिए ना।
जल्द से जल्द करेंगे, बट आप कोशिश कीजिएगा, आई मीन ट्राई इट आउट, कि व्हेन यू पुट वाटर इन योर माउथ डोंट हैव एनीबॉडी एल्स इन फ्रंट ऑफ यू एंड लाफ
हाँ
आउट ऑफ इट, मेक श्योर। बट राइट, इट वर्क्स एक्चुअली। तो आई थिंक योर क्वेश्चंस आर वेरी वैलिड, इट हैपेंस, इट्स नॉट इजी, राइट? तो अब आई विश आई कुड से कि जब ऐसा लगता है तो आप किसी को, उनको जिस पे भी गुस्सा आ रहा है उसको खोपचे में ले जाके खर्चा पानी दे डालिए, ऐसा तो नहीं बोल सकता मैं इस सेशन में, पर बम्बई भाषा में ऐसे बोलते हैं। बट आई थिंक देखिए, आपने यू सेड वन थिंग दैट एज अ गृहस्थी गुस्सा तो आएगा ही। इट्स एज गुड एज सेइंग कि आई एम सीइंग अ बनाना पील एंड आई हैव टू स्लिप टुडे। Not necessarily. In fact, the higher the threat, the greater the opportunity. So in Grihastha Jivan, your testing will be continuous. Similarly, in the Seva world, your testing will be continuous. And just because you are in a satsang, you cannot assume that you are in a satyug. You will find it is a microcosm of the world that you are dealing with. You will still find those personalities. We are all work in progress. So just because you are in a temple or in a satsang or in a seva, you cannot assume that people that you will come across will be perfect. So that is where the spiritual maturity is in anticipating problem. Anticipating that anybody can say anything to anyone in this material world and not get surprised, because we are all under Maya, clutches of Maya, and we don't know kiska sar kab घूम जाए, जैसे कहते हैं। तो वो part रहेगा, but that's where we have to focus on our own stuff rather than worrying about the world around us. Because if you start thinking about people, there is no end to it. How many people will you find faults in? How many satsangis you will have to worry about? So that is not a sustainable game plan. And the paisa thing that you said, that's right. Maybe that is the secret stash that we need to get better at. In Kali Yuga, it is said that money is something that moves people big time. Right? If you say that if you want to make an enemy, give somebody money. After a while, that person will become your enemy anyways, right? Because your mind will be saying, okay, this guy has, my money, this. Because people have a very deep-rooted attachment to money in Kali Yuga. And that is why Brahmaji, when he was asked if you were to give a scriptural injunction to people across all the three levels of existence, what would that be? And he said, the, and the. And it is not the Hindi word, the. So for people on celestial abodes, he said Daman. Daman means just restrain your senses, because the kind of enjoyments they can have in celestial abodes, by the way, we also have had those, we have forgotten it. It's unlimited. So they say just restrain your senses. On the nether regions, he said Da means Daya. Those people are so evil-minded, they will kill people just for the sake of entertainment. And for the people on Mrityulok, us, he said Dan. Because the biggest problem in Mrityulok is people attachment to money. They find it the most difficult thing to part with. So that money aspect, we have to get better at it. Yes, I mean, inflation is happening, those things do trouble us, but then gradually we need to figure out ways, maybe by giving and things like that, that our attachment, deep-rooted attachment to money is let go. We can do let go of that gradually. That is where the dana concept is there, right? 10% of you do that. That is very liberating and uplifting for us. And nobody has become poor by doing charity. Have you heard about somebody who became poor by doing no way? Do get much more in return in a lot of ways. Okay, that's a fact. So maybe Aarti ji, these could be some of the things. And yes, I think we will upload these things, but we love your honesty, candidness, and the way you are able to articulate what you feel, because I'm sure 90% of us can relate to that. So thank you so much for that. Been a pleasure talking to you always, Aarti, and would love to hear more from you.
Thank you. Radhe Radhe. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Radhe Radhe.
Sandhya,
Yes.
go ahead, ma.
Yes, Sandhya.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Like I wanted to say this to Aarti ji yesterday as well. I literally loved her honesty, and a lot of people have sent me messages for her, like best speech ever. We want to hear her every day.
Yeah.
And hilarious session anyway. So that being said, I had also received a question from Jyoti. I mean, of course, it's a broader one, and you have been answering it. But I thought I'll just mention it that how can we keep the key to our happiness with ourselves?
By not distributing it. Simple answer. So we need to devise strategies of holding keys to ourselves by not tying our happiness to things beyond our control. And that's a practice we develop over time. It's not a straightforward thing, right? But when you start saying, okay, I'll be happy only if I get such a such person, if I'll be happy only if I get promotion, I'll be happy only if this person behaves to me in certain way, I'll be happy only if I can go out on such a vacation. And so when you're tying your happiness to these kind of things, you are actually distributing the keys to the world around, because it may or may not happen. So that is where more acceptance you have, more Sharanagat. We'll talk about the principles of surrender. They are very deep. These all concepts are like, they are so intertwined with each other that you start discussing it and it will all make sense. So we'll talk about the principles of surrender. That brings in more acceptance. That brings in more control. We start taking over our life as opposed to putting it or making it dependent on so many things around us. And that is the whole game of spirituality. You start taking more control of your life, your emotions, and pretty much everything, rather than hoping for the best, keeping your fingers crossed that the world is going to dish out a perfect deal to you, as if you are the center of the universe. May or may not happen. Make sense? Okay, but Jyoti, let's talk offline more if you want to talk a little bit more about this. Okay, we can take the remaining hands real quick.
Archie, please go ahead. Radhe Radhe.
Nitinji, Radhe Radhe, Amritawani ji, and Radhe Radhe everyone. So for Sam ji's question, I can take my own personal example. I've got angry so many times. Most of them to detrimental effect, right? And we realize it after only we come to the spiritual path. Till then, we don't realize it. We think, okay, I'm getting this kick. Let me be angry. But once we know the health non-benefits or health issues that you would get because of that, and will not really hurt the other person, and then spiritually we improve, then we get onto this sattva path, and we get better. So the past is gone. You just have to forget it, let it go, like they say in the movie Frozen, right? Just let it go. You just need to look at just the present, and that will also take care of the future. Those are my two thoughts.
True. Very true. Very nice.
Thanks, Radhe Radhe.
Power of Now, I think there's a book, right? And Swamiji also says that you need to focus on now. Don't go too far ahead of yourself. And that is where things start getting complicated. So dwelling in the past or unnecessary worrying about the future is what complicates our life. Thank you, Kumarji, for sharing that. Let's take real quick the remaining hands. Are we going to have devotional segment? You can please type in if you're going to plan to sing today, because we are already over time. So we'll quickly take the remaining hands.
Go ahead, Aparnaji. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Nitinji.
Radhe Radhe, Aparna.
Even you said, and even Swamiji's teachings, I have heard that if a situation is repeating, that means there is a lesson. Can you hear me?
Yes. It's a sure shot proof that there is a lesson in that.
Correct. I'm working on myself, and the intensity of the situation has reduced, but the situation is still there. So it's not, is it that I'm not learning, or is it that the other person's karmas are pulling them back? I'm not able to understand the situation and how I can help.
I don't know. I mean, it's very contextual. Can ask Swamiji these kind of thing, but as long as you are improving, the purpose is served, right? The universe or the God's purpose is served as long as there is a delta or there's an improvement. All the inner victories are something which are there to be rejoiced forever, because it's a perpetual asset that you are building. So maybe the learning, the quantum of learning that God had designed for you, you are yet to reach there. And once you reach there, the situation would go away or get improved as well. So you got to be tolerant, patient, acceptance around it. But the good thing is you are able to evaluate that, you are getting better at it, which is a good sign.
It's not that I'm getting better very slowly, but I think the situation is improving, so I can give the credit to the other person as well. But it's not completely going away. So I hope it's not something that is going to take a lifetime or something.
Patiently, we have to wait for that, right? Especially if things are improving, at least the trajectory is better from previous, right? Which is a good sign. We got to be patient about it. Similarly, even for God's grace, we have to be patient, right? Like a lot of people, they do sadhana and they say, hey, why God's grace is not intervening? Why I have not gotten his darshan as yet? So we just got to be patient in these kind of things.
Thank you.
But good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Apparently.
Manoranjan ji, Radhe Radhe.
Namaskaram, Manoranjan ji, and I look forward to the Kabir Das Doha today.
Can you please unmute yourself? I'm trying to unmute you. Yes, go ahead, please.
Radhe Radhe, am I audible?
Yes, you are, Radhe Radhe.
Super audible, very audible, extremely audible.
Yeah. So quickly, we were discussing on anger today. So one Kabir Doha on anger management. So Kabir says, क्रोध अग्नि घर घर जले जले सकल संसार दीन लीन निज भक्त जो तिनके निकट निवार कबीरा तिनके निकट निवार. So Sant Kabir says that the entire world is burning out of anger, right? Everybody is in that fire, but those persons who are actually surrendered to the Almighty, okay, they are the persons, those who are saved from this anger. So therefore, be a surrendered soul. Thank you very much.
Beautiful, Manoranjan ji, very nice. Beautiful Doha, and really illustrates the concept that we are talking about. Thank you for that. Okay, 2 more hands.
Manishi, go ahead, please. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Manishi.
Radhe Radhe. Yes, so this is in response to Samji's, because I've had a lot of anger issues, and I used to get angry all the time. And actually it caused a lot of problems. I think I shared my story in one of the sessions. But it basically, my mind started becoming my worst own enemy. And it went down to where I actually contemplated, and the thoughts of suicide came. So it was at the lowest point of my life. But I did one right thing, and that's to ask God for help and guidance. So I had pretty much depleted all my punya or whatever good things I'd done with being angry all the time. But God's grace has just done amazing things in my life, and even brought a guru into my life. So with good karmas, we can always develop more punyas. It's just do the right thing. And then before I used to get angry because I wanted to convince the other person, or like I'm right, you're wrong kind of thing. But now I just try to put my perspective in a calm manner. And if they understand it, great. If not, then that's fine too. It's not like it doesn't impact me as much as I used to do it before. And one thing I learned along the way, I'd like to share if we have time, is 5 steps that I learned real quickly. Is one is we think when you get angry, just think first before you speak, because when you're angry, you don't know what you're saying. No matter how angry you are, 2, always present your side in the calmest manner. 3, when you get angry, leave that area and take a nice walk. This will allow you to think clearly and calm down. Fourth, and the most important, is forgiveness. Learn to forgive others for their mistakes, because to forgive others is to nullify anger. Anger doesn't want anyone to have forgiveness attitude because it wants to control others and make them bow down to it. But forgiveness ruins that part of the anger's plan. So in order to forgive anyone, always remember that everyone makes mistakes and that everyone deserves an opportunity to rectify their mistake. And the fifth thing is laughter. Laugh. We already heard that laughing is the best medicine. Whenever you feel angry, think of something that makes you laugh. Smile, because laughter makes things better. So laughter is the best medicine. So if you master these 5 steps and apply them in our lives, anger will not be able to do anything to you at all. And that's the steps that I follow. Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Beautiful. Thank you, Manishi. You can share that on the portal as well. I think that will be extremely beneficial.
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely share it.
Laughter is definitely the best medicine. If
Yes.
you can build, if you don't take yourself too seriously in life and you can bring in that perspective, that's the best addition you can do in your life. Just simplifies the life big time. And the good thing is that one good thing leads to another. So when you start investing in one good thing, you'll get 5 more along with it. And similarly, one bad thing leads to another. So when you start picking up good things, adding satsang to your routine, talking to people who are uplifting, it'll lead to more, and then soon you'll surprise yourself by surrounding yourself with so many inspiring things. Thank you for sharing that, Manishi. Radhe Radhe. Okay.
Thank you, Manishi.
Are you
Yes,
singing
we have.
Pallavi today?
Yes.
Pallavi singing? Urvi singing?
Yes, she. Yeah.
She singing?
I don't know. Lakshmi ji, Ajit ji, I think. So yeah, Pallavi ji.
So
Go ahead.
Lakshmi ji and Ajit ji, maybe they have a question real quick, and then we get to our devotional segment where Pallavi
No,
ji,
she wants. Lakshmi ji, do you want to?
You're singing? Okay, you want to sing as well?
No, Radhe Radhe. I'm not singing. I just want to say my experience. I can say, Nitin just said, yourself said, it's the word humble which has implanted in my mind when I was in trouble. So according to that, I made my formula. When something disputes occurs, wherever it is, in the house or outside, I just become calm and say out as okay, whatever is the other person is saying. So this okay or acceptance, which is not really to our heart, but expressing externally, that calms down the other person. And next, and just giving a smile, I move from that place. I just walk out of that place. So repeating this, I can say my own example with my husband. He started saying, nowadays you're not responding to my shouts or something, and you're calm and you're just quitting from that place. Is it this you learned from the Bhagavad Gita? Then I said, of course I learned from that. At least you can follow that. Now I can say his anger as 20% has come down. So I'm happy. So I just want to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Lakshmi ji. And it's very good to know that some of the tools and techniques that we're talking about, you've actually practically realized that benefit.
Yes,
How powerful
yes.
it is. And you're able to do that. And you're able to resist the desire to get that dopamine kick, which is more important. So, thank you for sharing that. I'm sure it's very inspiring.
Thank you. Thank you.
Lakshmi ji.
All right. Now let's get to our devotional segment then. Manishi, you wanted to sing as well? Maybe you can start with you.
Yeah, but I lost my my thing, so.
No worries. Okay, so let's get started then.
I'll come back to it later if it's okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, Pallavi ji.
Yes, Pallavi ji,
Yeah.
let's get started.
Radhe Radhe Nitin ji, Amritwani ji, everyone. Excellent session, Nitin ji. A very good revision of all the tools and techniques. Really thankful to you. Thanks a lot. So today I'm singing my very, very favorite bhajan, Puchte Ho Kaise Chale Aayenge Murari.
All right, please go ahead.
पूछते हो कैसे 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 पूछते हो कैसे चले आएंगे मुरारी कौन सी सुनाई धुन लगे उन्हें प्यारी। बोल राधे बोल राधे चले आएंगे मुरारी। बोल राधे बोल राधे बोल राधे चले आएंगे मुरारी। बोल राधे पूछते हो कैसे चले आएंगे मुरारी। कौन सी सुनाई धुन लगे उन्हें प्यारी। बोल राधे बोल राधे चले आएंगे मुरारी। बोल राधे कण कण में बसे गोपाला वृंदावन कानंद लाला। कण कण में बसे गोपाला वृंदावन का नंद लाला। कण कण में बसे गोपाला वृंदावन का नंद लाला। राधा के प्रेम में बंधा है इस जग का पालनहारा। प्रेम के धागे पावन प्रेम के धागे। बोल राधे चले आएंगे मुरारी। बोल राधे।
Thank you, Ballaviji. Very nice. And I'm sure you made Hari Anand wake up. Okay, probably he was sleeping, but even if he was, you did wake him up by singing this beautiful bhajan. Everybody is saying that.
I think I love this bhajan, and I listen to this bhajan every day. It's very beautiful.
Very beautifully sung and very soulfully. Thank you so much, Ballaviji.
Thank you so much, Ballaviji.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So
Thank
nice.
you.
Right. I see 3 more.
Monica ji.
Yes.
Please go ahead, Monica ji. Monica Singh,
Okay.
please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. I'm going to attempt few lines from Madhurashtaka.
Sure.
Adhiram madhuram vadanam madhuram nayanam madhuram nayanam madhuram hasitam madhuram hridayam madhuram gamanam madhuram madhuradhipatirakhilam madhuram vachanam madhuram charitam madhuram vasanam madhuram valitam madhuram chalitam madhuram भ्रमितं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरम्. This is very rare that I lose my voice like this, but thank you.
Thank you, Monica. You're going from strength to strength in Krishna Bhakti, which is pretty amazing. And Seema ji is all charged up to sing as well on one of the days. I can see that. Seema rather, okay, not Seema ji. So we look forward to hearing from you as well on one of the days. But very nicely sung, Monica ji. Loved it. This is your second performance, and it's getting better with each one. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Loved it.
Very nice, Monica ji. Really liked it a lot. So Manishi, are you ready? So, or should I give it to Urvi ji?
Urvi, we are preserving you for the end.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe.
Yes.
I'll sing 2 lines. I really love this bhajan, the Teri Mehrbani Ka Hai Boj. So just 2 lines. Teri Mehrbani Ka Hai Boj itna कि मैं तो उठाने के काबिल नहीं हूँ. मैं आ तो गया हूँ मगर जानता हूँ कि तेरे दर पे आने के काबिल नहीं हूँ, तेरी मेहरबानी का है बोझ इतना कि मैं तो उठाने के काबिल नहीं हूँ. Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Manishji. It's a very beautiful bhajan, especially if you want to exercise the bhav of gratitude. Listen to it, very soulfully sung by Swamiji, and it can actually make your heart heavy with gratitude. I mean, at least I have experienced that. It's a very beautiful bhajan. Thank you for bringing that, Manishji. Last
Thank
but
you,
not least,
Manish.
Urvi, all yours now. The
Let
floor is.
me unmute her. Go ahead, Ma. Go ahead, Pita.
Radhe Radhe everyone. So I'll sing today. I'll sing Wari Jaure, and it is like when your guru comes to your home, so you're welcoming him. So and it's a Rajasthani bhajan. Wari Jaure, Balihari Jaure, ho Wari Jaure, Balihari Jaure. मारा सतगुरु आंगण आया मैं वारी जाऊं रे मारा सतगुरु आंगण आया मैं वारी जाऊं रे सतगुरु आंगण आया रे आया रे आया रे आया रे आया रे आया सतगुरु आंगण आया रे आया मैं गंगा गोमती नाया रे मारी निर्मल हो गई काया मैं वारी जाऊं रे मारा सतगुरु आंगण आया मैं वारी जाऊं रे. Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Urvi, very nice, beautifully sung. It was almost like you are simulating that thought in your head. And there is something in Rajasthan, I'm telling you that. Something special is there in that land. Loved it. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Urvi. And I think today's session we'll get a lot of nice snippets, right from Aarti ji all the way up to so the beautiful renditions that we have had. So, Urvi and team, you have some task at hand for today's session, I would imagine. A lot of nice snippets will come out of it. Thank you.
Actually, I have a request for Urvi ji. If you can sing sometime, anytime, Guru Charana Kamala. I heard you sing it for Maharaji's centenary celebration. So it would be nice if you could do it once in the session.
Right. And we look forward to, you could sing it solo, or if you can bring your friend as well, we'd love to have your duo performance, the way you do it with guitar and everything. That was wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah, we tried, but as of now, we're not together. So
No
maybe.
worries. Whenever it's possible.
Yes,
We'd
okay.
love to see you perform together as well. So great. All right, Manoranjan ji, you had a Kabir Ji's Doha.
Go ahead, Radhe Radhe ji.
I'd like to give
Can't hear you, Manoranjan ji. Real quick, your audio is breaking big time.
then we will do it next time. Sorry.
Yeah, your audio is not cooperating. Yes, so please reserve it for the next time, and we'd love to hear from you as well. Okay, so tomorrow, just a reminder, we don't have a class. Stay safe, stay best. Look forward to seeing you next week and have a wonderful weekend. It's going to get cold here in Dallas. So make sure you're wearing something woolen and don't go out in t-shirts. And in India, you all have a great weekend. Quick reminder, the Gita Jayanti that is coming up, we've already given you that. So please start thinking about it and preparing your short reels, videos, or anything that you can do, anything that has helped you, the Bhagavad Gita message. We'd love to have your videos and anything else we had to make, but keep that going and we'll share your folder where you can start sharing your videos as well. But it will be wonderful if everybody from this session could contribute towards that. Okay, so start thinking about it and let's do that. And for Swamiji's book also, if you have some ideas and if you're preparing something, I would strongly encourage you to do that. We can create a buzz around that. That's the least we can do for Swamiji for all the hard work that he does for us relentlessly. Okay, yes, Sandhya, you wanted to add something?
A question just came in from Kumarji. How to handle the anger that we do not have class tomorrow?
How to handle the anger that we do not have a class tomorrow? You can take it out on that tomato wala who's the price jasti, okay? That's how you will handle it for tomorrow.
I think Nitinji, you like the word Jasti. You've been
I loved
using
it.
it.
I loved it. Aarti ji made my day yesterday. So yeah, but yeah, thank you everybody for a very enthusiastic, engaging session like always, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Radhe Radhe and good night.
Thank you, everyone. Radhe Radhe. See you all on Sunday for the book launch as well as satsang.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. Radhe Radhe.
Bye.